right, hello, welcome back to COM 231. This is our course for April the 14th, 2020. This is part 3 of our lesson for this week. So picking right up from where we left off from part 2, I wanted to talk about chapter 21, Designing Presentation Aids. So design signals the preparedness and professionalism of the speaker, and the key elements of it are it's easy to see and consistently designed. So you want to keep your design simple, usually maximum 30 seconds to view each aid. Use your text sparingly and present only one major idea per slide. Follow the 6x6 rule. Keep your text in active verb form, avoid clutter, and create concise titles. And the 6x6 rule means use no more than 6 words in a line and 6 lines on one slide. This keeps the audience's attention on you. All right, so this is an example of a cluttered aid. There's too much text on here. So if you're showing this in a presentation you're making while speaking in front of people, this is too much. It's too much to focus on. Okay, I'm not going to read all of this, but just look at it. It's really busy. It's distracting. It's too much. Okay, so this is what you don't want an aid to look like. Now look at this one. You've got 5 easy to read points on here. They're all very shortly worded. There's lots of white space, easy on the eyes, and they can focus on what you're saying. And this just adds to what you're saying. Doesn't take away from what you're saying. Okay? I'm going to beware of chart junk. So you want to avoid design elements that obscure your point, and the fewer slides used, the better. You want to make sure to use your design elements consistently. So apply design decisions across the entire aid. So your colors, your fonts, your upper and lowercase letters, your text styling, your general page layout, they need to be consistent. And this ensures your viewers don't become distracted. Right, so you want to select the appropriate typeface styles and fonts. So your typeface is just referring to a specific style of lettering. Arial, Times New Roman, Roman, Courier. These are your types of typefaces, and then your font is the size and the face of it. All right, so your serif typeface, this is the small flourishes at top of the bottom of the letters. It's easier on the eye, and it's best for the body of the text. And your sans serif typeface is your block-like and linear, which is best for small amounts of text. Okay, so here's a great example of what we're referring to here. So your serif, this is what you're usually going to see in the body of something that you're reading, whether online or in a book or a magazine or even on television. Your sans serif, this is more of your headlines or standalone, like a drop quote, things like that, more to get your attention. And here we see the different types of font sizes. This is a 54 point. These letters and numbers are very big, and it goes on down to 18 point. So you want to use font sizes that can be seen by the entire audience, and use larger font sizes for headings and smaller sizes for your subheads and the body. Okay, 2 types of font categories that you don't really want to use is your script, so a cursive font like handwriting, just don't do it. And your novelty font, unique, flashy, or cartoonish fonts. If you're trying to look like a professional and give a good presentation and a good speech, just don't let it go. Don't do it. It's going to take away from your credibility. At least potentially it will. And why do something that could take your credibility away when it's This is a very simple fix, a very simple solution. Don't use it. No script and no types of novelty fonts. So once you create your presentation, you want to check and make sure that you can read it. You want to make sure it's legible, make sure it's distinct from the background. You're using a familiar and simple typeface. Don't use all capital letters. Limit the 2 typefaces per aid and use boldface, italics, and underlining sparingly. So again, be careful using these. It's not as necessary as you may think that it is. Okay, so here's a question for you if you'd like to email me the answers to it for some extra points. What is the best font size to use for body text on a slide being presented in a large room? Alright, so you want to use color carefully. Skillful use of color can, however, draw attention to key points, set the mood of a presentation, and make things easier to see. You want to make sure to keep your background color consistent. Use bold and bright colors carefully. Use colors that contrast with the background, so they're different than the background. They're not blending into it, and people don't have to squint and look at it. No, that's not working. Don't do that. And limit the number of colors to 3. If you've ever heard of the law of 3, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, look it up. Certain colors evoke distinct associations. Meanings associated with certain colors differ across cultures. Okay, so we've discussed cultural understandings and the potential for misunderstandings in this class before. We talked about, if you recall, it seems like it was 25 years ago, I gave an example in class of a world leader went to another country and did this sign, like, good job, nice to see you, and in that culture, that meant a middle finger, basically. So didn't mean anything by it, but this all goes back to what I've been consistently pontificating to you, which is know your audience. Know your audience, whatever it is that you're doing. A simple communication, sender-receiver conversation you're having, or if you're giving a presentation to a bunch of business people and you see that there's international people in there and clients in there. You've got to know your audience. Don't make mistakes like that, ones that are preventable. Okay? What color signals danger? This is in your book in chapter 21. This same color, if you're a financial manager, or if you see this on a chart and it's talking about the economy, and if it's this color, then that means bad news. All right, so go back and read this, or I think you know the answer and you can send it to me. Okay, and I'll give you a few extra points. Okay, so that's the end of chapter 21. Let's go into chapter 22, using presentation software. We'll go through this real quick. All right, so our software programs are going to include Microsoft PowerPoint, which again, you are looking at a PowerPoint slide right now. And then you have web-based presentation tools, including Prezi and the rest of these on the screen. Okay, so here's an example of PowerPoint. Very simple chart here. 2004, Facebook's launch. This is where it was in relation to 1 million users, 0. And then by 2005, 1 million users. Very simple and effective chart. Okay, here is a screenshot of Keynote on Apple. Very easy to use. Very simple to put together. This is a presentation following Pacific Coast Highway in Southern California. And here's a screenshot of Prezi. and very, very easy to use. Okay, remember you're giving a speech and not a slideshow. So your primary mission is to communicate through spoken word and physical presence. Whenever physical presence will be allowed again, and it will be allowed again. Okay, you want to work to engage the audience and achieve your goal of your speech. The only way the presentation aids can help listeners is to process information. It can't give the speech for you. Okay. Want to develop a plan. Begin planning your slides with your speaking outline. Think through what points will be better explained if your listeners have a visual slide. Decide the content of your slides. Decide how many slides you will need, and decide how your slides should be arranged, and determine the best platform for your slides. I'm going to do whatever you can to avoid technical glitches, projector malfunction, incompatibility of a file with an operating system, right? This point right here, this is something that you can control. You want to make sure that your file will work with the operating system. We do see issues with Apple products and non-Apple products sometimes. Okay, so you want to make sure if it's something you can help and you know ahead of time. You can't always control an internet connection failure, computer drive freezes, or a projector malfunction. You do want to have a backup plan in place. Print your slides or have a backup plan. And this goes back to what it said earlier, which is your aides are not giving the speech. You are giving the speech. And you always be prepared to give the speech if your slides are not going to work. If your presentation, if you don't have it, can you still give the speech? The answer should always be yes. And that all goes back into your preparation because all of these things happen. I'm going to verify your files are saved to a reliable source that can be recognized by the speech of the computer. Save all files to the same folder and familiarize yourself with that computer prior to the presentation. Verify your OS is compatible with the visual and audio aids. Confirm the software version matches, and prepare a digital backup and print handouts of visual aids. These are all very, very good ideas. So you want to check the venue. You want to locate your power sources, verify your computer needs and compatibility, prepare internet access, create a backup plan, and determine the appropriate audio. So a few days before our first in-person class, I went into the classroom and I did all of these things. I made sure that I knew how to work the projector, that I knew how to log into the computer, everything like that. Where are my power sources? I wanted to make sure that the speaker system worked and everything. Okay, so if you're able to do that before you give a speech, you really want to take advantage of that opportunity. All right, and position yourself carefully. Give the entire audience clear sight lines to you in your presentation. Stand so you can face forward even when changing slides or gesturing to aids, and have a tool available to gesture to slide details if possible. All right, here's some places where you can find media for your presentations all over the internet, all over it. But this is in your book if you'd like to refer to it. And you always want to avoid copyright infringement. You always cite the source of your material. Always, always, always. Okay? You always want to do that. You can get in a lot of trouble. In an academic setting, you're not typically going to get in trouble for it if you're using an image in a presentation, but you still always want to take the safe route. Abide by the copyright restrictions, cite the source of material, be wary of sites offering royalty-free media. And if possible, and whenever you can, create your own media to use in your presentation slides. What do you do if the equipment malfunctions? Send me what you think is the best answer for this. I'll give you a couple extra points. All right, I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching our videos this week, and I look forward to seeing your outlines of your persuasive speeches. And for real, let me know if I can help with anything. If you need to chat with me, just let me know and we can make something happen, okay? I'm here for you. Thanks.